Alright, what's up guys? So this is the Horrifying Nights Crime Show. This is the season finale, which is just absolutely nuts. So it's been obviously 2 weeks since I recorded. I'm actually recording 2 days early. The reason for that is because I am very, very busy on Friday, so it's going to be impossible for me to record. So I just thought I would just record on Wednesday and then on Thursday. So I've been watching Peaky Blinders and rewatching it again. I've rewatched it about 5 times now. I've seen several episodes, at least 5 times. It's really good. It's really good. It's become one of my favorite shows of all time. I just love the show so much. I don't know what it is. I've been also getting a few more things. I got DreamWorks super carts, or whatever you call it. Ben 10 Racing, even though I never watched Ben 10. It's just another racing game. I really like racing games, so I just decided to get that. Then I'm going to get Pac-Man Racing and Madagascar Racing. And that's basically going to be it until I buy a PS4 controller. And I think I'm just going to hold off on the Maximum Football 2019. I mean, it depends on how much I make. This time, it just depends on how much I make in my paycheck and whatever has to go out. Maybe I'll buy it or not. Barely any bills has to go out because I already paid them a few weeks ago. So, yeah. So this is the season finale. And obviously this is going to be the if you can think of a season finale, this is the most different season finale I've ever done for this show. Because I'm not actually talking about any case. I'm just talking about certain the movies in the Amityville franchise. So the movie franchise, and then the book, and Conjuring 2 and all that stuff. So the movie franchise, it is unfortunate to say. So the movie franchise now has 32 movies. Now, if you are like most people, and you're not like me, which has seen all of them, you would think that is insane, and you are exactly right. Now, it's a pretty good story as the reason why there's been so many movies made on. The biggest reason is that, like Night of the Living Dead. So Night of the Living Dead has been remade at least 3 times now, maybe 4. And the reason for that is because George A. Romero, he forgot to put a copyright stamp on the thing. So basically, when you do distribution, you try to copyright your film. That way it can't be remade unless they pay you a pretty hefty sum to remake your movie. That's usually how it works. Well, he forgot to do that, and so that's why the movie's been remade so many times. I think the first time it was remade was in 90, and then I think just in the 2000s alone, I think it was remade 3 times, because it was 2006, I know that, 2000, I think either 8 or 11, and then I think 2018, I think, was the last time it was remade. So it's been remade between 3 or 5 times. The reason for that is because of copyright. Well, it's the exact same thing with with Amityville. They don't have the copyright to it, so that means anybody can make a movie based on the Amityville name. And so in the first 9, so between 1979, the first movie, and 2005, the remake, there was 9 movies, which for a franchise, for a horror franchise, that's pretty normal. That's 26 years, and you have 9 movies. That's one basically every year, or one every 3 years, and so that's pretty normal. I mean, Nightmare on Elm Street had 7 and 10 years. Friday the 13th had the most at between 9 and 10 and 13 years. So. But after that, there was a 6-year break that there wasn't a Amityville movie. So in 2011, something happened. And I think it was that the copyright officially was lost. So between 2011 and now, 2019, or whatever year you're watching this, and that is, there's been 23 movies made since 2011. So that means in the last 8 years, there's almost been 3 films a year. That is like MCU territory. And sometimes, like back in the day, Marvel would put out maybe 1 or 2 a year. But now they put out 3. I mean, last year I think they put out 5. But I mean, it's Marvel, it's the MCU. Even though they put out so many, usually all of them are good. But yeah, so between 23 movies, and I read that unfortunately, it's actually pretty sad, and that is, unfortunately, Godzilla will not be number 1 in terms of movies made in a single franchise. Especially for horror, it won't be Godzilla, which will be the first time. I mean, Godzilla has had the most films in a franchise, especially in horror, for a very long time. Probably at least 30 years, maybe even 40 years by now. And it is unfortunate, because this franchise, I have seen them all, which is very sad. And I have to say, in the first 9 movies from 1979 to 2005, I would say, first one is good. The second one is even better. The third one I like. But my favorite is The Clock and the Lamp. So the Amityville movies are about The Clock and the Lamp. And The Dollhouse. And then the remix is pretty good too. So that means in the first 9 films, around 6 or 7 are good. And some of them are really, really good. Especially for like Haunted House and Supernatural. They're pretty good. And, if you're born in the late 90s or you're even born in the 2000s, when you watch a movie from the 80s, obviously you're going to laugh. But, I grew up watching movies from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. So I immediately know the campiness and the cheesiness. But if you're not used to that, obviously you're going to most likely dislike them. But I grew up with that. I grew up watching black and white movies and all that stuff. So it holds a special place in my heart when I see an 80s movie or a movie from the 80s being remade, because I love remakes. I love remakes because it brings a new type of audience, and even if the remake is bad, you can always go back and watch the movies from the other franchise. Like My Bloody Valentine. I still say My Bloody Valentine is, if it's not the best remake, it's second to The Crazies, which I still say is the best remake ever made, other than It. It Chapter 1 is amazing. It Chapter 2 is also very good. But then in 2011, obviously there's been 23 movies, and I would say Amityville Terror is the best out of that bunch. And then you have Amityville Awakening, also very good. So that means only 9 of the 32 movies are good. That is terrible. That is absolutely terrible. That is a terrible percentage that you can have. But yeah, and I read that next year. So there's 36. There's either 35 or 36 Godzilla movies. Obviously, next year will be the 37th with King Kong versus Godzilla. And I read that before Godzilla versus King Kong comes out, Amityville is going. So I think it's Amityville High. So Amityville High School, Amityville Cop, Return to Amityville. I think Amityville Murders again, and then I think another one. So that's gonna be 5 movies, and a bulk of those movies are gonna be coming out before Godzilla comes out, which means that for a limited time, Amityville will have more movies than Godzilla, which is very sad. They'll have one more, then obviously they'll be tied, and then by next year, in 2021, they will officially pass. I always said that this will be the first franchise to reach 50. I mean, Godzilla I always thought would be the first, but nope. It doesn't look like that, so yeah. Then there was a book made about it that talked about bulk of the paranormal experiences. That book was made into the movie, and then the rest is history and all that stuff. But 2017 was when I watched all of them. At the time, there was only 24, so but I watched a bulk of them, almost all of them, between January and February. But by the time it ended in 2017, there had already been 28, and then there was 4 made this year already. I believe there's another one coming out. Maybe there is another one coming out. I don't know. But yeah, it is unfortunate. So that is it. So next season there will be 13 episodes, so a little bit more. And then after that there will be. So after that I'll be talking about the Manson family and basically the Manson murders, H.H. Holmes, and then end it off with The Man, which is one of my series. And I'm going to start doing that the end of each season. And I'm only going to start talking about one serial killer and then murder. And I'm going to start doing that mainly because I want the series to last. I don't want to, run out of things to talk about, because once I finish all of the one series, like one of my series, then obviously I'm going to start wrapping it up. I have no idea how many seasons this is going to go, but you never know. So that is it. So make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.